Imagine you have, dedicated your entire life to a single philosophy.
Right, like you followed all the rules perfectly.
Exactly. You wake up at dawn, you wear the right clothes, you sit in silence for thousands of hours just trying to master your mind. You did everything perfectly.
And then the founder of that philosophy, your ultimate teacher, just stands up and says, well, everything I've told you so far was basically an illusion just to get your attention.
I mean, what would you even do? Would you sit there and listen? Or would you just walk out? Because in one of the most famous ancient texts in human history, that is exactly what 5,000 people did.
Yeah, it really is one of the most shocking moments in Eastern philosophy. I mean, you have this massive assembly of devoted followers, and they're essentially told that their entire operating system is just
wrong.
Well, not wrong, but a temporary stepping stone.
Yeah.
Everything they thought was absolute truth was just scaffolding.
Wow. So today we are jumping into a deep dive on the second chapter of the Lotus Sutra. And our mission here isn't just to look at ancient history,
No, not at all.
We are unpacking this because it actually offers a really radical antidote to a very modern pain point, which is spiritual and intellectual perfectionism. Think about how you usually approach self-improvement or starting a new habit today.
Right, like say you want to start meditating.
Yeah. There is this heavy expectation of pristine execution. You think you need to sit on a specific cushion, cross your legs perfectly, clear your mind completely.
And if you don't achieve that complete clarity immediately, your modern brain just categorizes it as a failure.
Oh, absolutely.
We really like binary outcomes. You are either mindful or you are distracted. You are either enlightened or you are ignorant. We crave that clear, rigid metric for success because honestly, it makes the world feel predictable.
But then reality hits. You sit down, you close your eyes, and within, 30 seconds, you are obsessing over whether you remembered to buy oat milk.
Yep, the grocery list sneaks in.
And you instantly think, I'm just not cut out for this. It is an exhausting epidemic of perfectionism. But when you look at the source material we are pulling from today, that rigid rulebook is, it's completely dismantled.
Dismantled is the perfect word for it. Let's look at how the scene opens because it sets up this entire psychological shift. The text describes the Buddha rising from a state of deep, profound meditation, a state called samadhi.
Okay.
And instead of delivering, a gentle, comforting sermon, he turns to his most advanced student, Shariputra, and drops this massive philosophical bombshell.
Just right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. He announces that all the teachings he had provided up until that very moment were not the final, absolute truth.
I am still struggling to wrap my head around how jarring that would be.
Oh, it would be wild.
If my lifelong mentor suddenly told me the curriculum was a mirage, I would feel incredibly manipulated. I mean, isn't that inherently deceptive? If a teacher tells me a tactful half-truth for years, how can I ever trust them when they claim to finally be revealing the ultimate truth? It just sounds like a noble lie to control people.
That is the exact friction the text actually wants you to feel. But it's crucial to understand the mechanism behind why he did it.
Okay, Leo on me.
So the text introduces a core concept called fang bian in Chinese, which is often translated as expedient means or tactful methods. The underlying premise is that ultimate truth, like the boundless unified nature of reality, is just too profound and cognitively overwhelming for a normal human mind to process all at once.
Oh, I see. Like trying to download a terabyte of data on a dial-up connection. The system would just crash.
Precisely. So, to prevent your system from crashing, the teacher uses scaffolding. Let's move away from the idea of a noble lie and look at a better metaphor. Think of a cast on a broken arm.
A cast, okay.
Yeah. When you break your arm, the doctor puts it in a rigid, heavy fiberglass cast. The cast itself is not the healing, right?
Right, it actually restricts your movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It restricts you, but it provides the necessary framework for the bone to set. Once the bone is healed, that rigid cast goes from being a helpful tool to a severe hindrance. It literally has to be broken off so the arm can function freely.
Ah, so the previous teachings were basically casts for the mind.
Yes, exactly. The text explicitly notes that the Buddha uses soft and gentle words and endless analogies to delight the hearts of his audience. He guides them away from their attachments through whatever lens their nervous system can handle at the time.
That makes a lot of sense.
We see this exact same mechanism in modern cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. If a patient comes in deeply overwhelmed by trauma, A therapist doesn't hit them with the most complex existential analysis of their psyche on day one.
Right. They'd probably just give them a simple breathing exercise.
Exactly. They use an expedient mean to stabilize them first.
So the teaching actually bends to the shape of the student's current reality, rather than forcing the student to contort themselves to fit a rigid, impossible philosophy.
That's a great way to put it.
But if that's the case, when the Buddha finally says, okay, the bone is healed, time to cut the cast off, how do the followers react? Because, people get very attached to their casts.
Oh, they absolutely do. And the text builds incredible narrative tension around this exact moment. Shariputra, the top student, actually has to beg the Buddha 3 separate times to explain this new ultimate truth.
Wait, he begs him?
3 times. And the Buddha initially refuses.
Yeah.
He warns them, saying that if he speaks this truth, the whole world will be shocked and will fall into doubt.
He knows the cognitive dissonance is going to be massive.
He totally anticipates the revolt. And when he finally agrees to speak, we see the walkout we mentioned earlier. Before he even reveals what the ultimate truth is, 5,000 monks, nuns, and laypeople literally stand up from the assembly, bow to the Buddha, and walk out.
That is just wild. I am fascinated by these 5,000 people.
It's a huge ego trip.
Yeah. The text describes them as having overpride and a deep-seated root of sin, which basically means they falsely believed they had already attained ultimate enlightenment. They thought they had reached the finish line.
Right.
This sounds identical to the modern psychological concept of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Oh, the cognitive bias where people with limited knowledge vastly overestimate their own competence.
Exactly. You read a couple articles about the stock market and suddenly you are dispensing financial advice at dinner parties. You just don't know enough to realize how much you don't know.
That is a brilliant way to map it to modern psychology.
These monks got a taste of initial wisdom. They got their broken arm put in a cast, and they mistook the cast for the ultimate state of human evolution.
Yeah, let's define who these people were in the context of the text, actually. They belong to categories called Sravakas and Prateka Buddhas.
Okay, decoding those for us, what do they mean?
For our purposes, think of these not just as ancient religious tiers, but as profound psychological archetypes. Sravakas were voice hearers. These are people whose nervous systems required external structure, strict rules, and community validation to feel safe.
Okay, so the rule followers.
Right. And Prateka Buddhas were solitary awakeners. So highly independent, introspective people who preferred to just figure things out alone.
So the Buddha gave them these distinct paths because they had different psychological needs.
He provided customized psychological tooling. But the danger of that already arrived mindset is that you begin to identify completely with the tool.
Oh, I see.
You build your entire ego around being a perfect rule follower or a perfect solitary thinker. When you are that full of your own perceived mastery, there is simply no room for a new paradigm. Zen philosophy calls it a lack of beginner's mind.
But here's where I have to challenge the narrative again.
Go for it.
The Buddha is framed as the ultimate compassionate teacher, right? A teacher's job is to save the students. So why didn't he stop them from walking out?
That's a really common question.
If I'm a teacher and half my class walks out right before the most important lesson of the semester, I have failed.
You have to look at the psychology of readiness. The text gives a very deliberate, profound answer to this. The Buddha remains completely silent as they leave.
He doesn't say a word.
He doesn't chase them, he just lets them go. Once they're gone, he tells Shariputra that their departure is actually excellent.
Calling it excellent seems incredibly harsh.
It sounds harsh until you understand the mechanism of learning. He explains that the assembly is now clear of superficial branches and leaves, and only the pure and solid remain.
Because their cups were already full.
Exactly. You cannot pour new transformative water into a cup that is already overflowing with ego. If he had used his authority to force them to stay and listen to a truth they were not psychologically prepared to handle, the text suggests they would have become hopelessly confused.
They would have rebelled.
Yeah, they would have actively attacked the teaching, causing themselves far more psychological suffering.
So letting them walk away is actually an act of compassion.
It really is.
It's an acknowledgement of boundaries. If you aren't ready to take the cast off, forcing it off will just break the arm again.
It is a profound lesson in the prerequisites for genuine learning. You have to be willing to admit you don't have all the answers.
Okay, so the room is now clear of the massive egos. Only the students with an open beginner's mind are left. What is the grand revelation?
Right, the big reveal.
If all those separate paths and rules were just illusions, what is the actual truth he shares?
The revelation is the concept of the one vehicle, the one Buddha vehicle. Up until this moment, the followers believed enlightenment was tiered.
Like a caste system.
Sort of. They thought there was a general admission ticket for regular people and a VIP backstage pass for the elite monks who followed the strictest rules.
Okay.
The bombshell is that these separate, exclusive paths do not exist. There is no hierarchy of spiritual access. There is only one path, and it is universally open to absolutely everyone, equal.
Wow. It completely dismantles the human tendency to create in-groups and out-groups. I mean, we love exclusivity. We love feeling like we are in the special club.
We really do.
But if there is only one universal path, why did he create the illusion of multiple paths in the first place? Why not just teach the one vehicle from day one?
Because of what the text calls the 5 impurities, or turbidities. Think of these as the fundamental stressors of human existence.
Like what?
Well, life is chaotic. We're dealing with physical exhaustion, conflicting desires, distorted views of reality, and the sheer distress of daily survival.
Modern translation. You're worried about making rent, your boss is toxic, and you haven't slept well in a week.
Yes, exactly. If you take a human brain that is trapped in a state of high stress and survival mode, and you try to drop a unified field theory of existential emptiness on it,
It's gonna bounce right off.
it will completely bounce off. The nervous system requires scaffolding. It requires an expedient mean that addresses its immediate suffering.
So life itself is adapting to our capacity. That democratizes the entire concept of personal growth. You don't need to quit your job and move to a silent retreat in the mountains to access deep truth.
Not at all. Your current life, with all its specific stressors, annoyances, and relationships, is not a distraction from the path. It is the customized curriculum designed specifically for your nervous system at this exact moment in time.
That is a massive paradigm shift. But it brings us to the ultimate practical question.
Which is,
If there is no strict rule book and there is only this one grand universal path, how does a regular, flawed, highly distracted person actually walk it?
that is the million-dollar question.
Because I am still the person who tries to meditate and ends up mentally wandering the aisles of a grocery store. Does this ancient text actually have a mechanism for the modern, chaotic mind?
It does, and it is arguably the most reassuring part of the entire source material. The text explicitly lists actions that guarantee a person has already attained the Buddha path.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
It starts with the monumental things you would expect, like building grand towers of crystal and gold to honor the philosophy.
Yeah, out of my budget, but go on.
Right, but then the text shifts dramatically to the mundane. It says that children playing in the dirt, building little sand castles as shrines, they have already attained the path.
Wait, really? Children playing in the dirt counts as spiritual progress.
It counts, and it goes further, specifically addressing your modern pain point. The text states that if someone with a scattered and distracted mind offers even a single flower to a painting, they are on the path.
It explicitly validates the scattered mind.
Yes, if someone enters a temple and simply bows their head slightly, or even just raises a single hand in a gesture of respect,
Just a hand raise.
or hums a single tiny note of a song. Through these tiny, seemingly insignificant micro-actions, the text declares they have already accessed the ultimate path.
We really need to unpack the cognitive mechanism here because this destroys that binary, perfect or useless mindset we talked about at the beginning.
It really does. Look at it through the lens of modern behavioral psychology. We know from the science of habit formation that massive, rigid goals like meditating perfectly for an hour every day usually just lead to burnout.
Every time.
What actually works are atomic habits, micro-actions that compound over time. The Lotus Sutra recognized this centuries ago. Intention, even when it is instantly hijacked by distraction, initiates a trajectory.
So if I sit down to practice mindfulness and I only manage one single breath of true presence before my brain wanders off to my grocery list, that messy attempt is not a failure.
It is not a failure, it is the path itself. The philosophy doesn't demand perfection, it demands a single step.
Wow.
All these tiny scattered actions accumulate. A slight bow here, a messy 5-minute meditation there. They build the foundation of ultimate wisdom.
This reframes the entire concept of the struggle. The distraction isn't failing to access the path. The distraction is the vehicle life is using to teach you patience in that exact second. It just removes all the barrier to entry. There's no shame in using the simple tools, the beginner tasks, for as long as you need them. The goal isn't to look impressive with your flawless meditation posture. The goal is incremental growth.
It completely inverts how we view our own flaws. And it leaves us with a fascinating new lens to view our daily lives.
How so?
Based on this text, we know the ultimate teacher, whether you call that the universe, life, or your own psychology, uses our varied life circumstances as tactful methods to guide us.
Right, the customized curriculum.
Exactly. So consider this as you move through your week. What if the biggest obstacle or the most annoying frustration in your life right now isn't actually a roadblock at all?
Oh, that's a good question.
What if that specific stressor is the exact expedient means designed to teach you your next great lesson?
That forces you to stop fighting your current reality. If you view your difficult coworker or your financial stress or, your own scattered brain as the temporary cast helping your mind heal, it changes everything.
You stop feeling like you are failing the test and realize the test was designed to help you evolve.
So the next time you sit down and 10 seconds in, you find yourself stressing over the future. Take a breath, give a slight bow to your own wonderfully scattered mind, and know that you're exactly where you need to be.
Beautifully said.
Until next time, keep exploring.